Hey guys, it's Genevieve here for another episode of Simply Sweets. And today we're gonna do another apple creation. This one's a little new to me, so we're gonna be learning together. But we're gonna be making apple dumplings. So yeah, what you'll need for this one is you will need flour, sugar, 4 apples, some salt, butter, cinnamon, brown sugar, and then shortening. And I prefer you get the butter kind or butter flavored kind versus the regular kind, because it'll just add that like extra like buttery flavor rather than, I don't know, plain shortening. Okay, so anyways, for materials you will need a mixing bowl, 2 smaller mixing bowls, a dish type thing that can go into the oven, so like glass or metal. Just make sure that it's kind of deep, so for the apples and stuff like that, so that when you put the sauce over it, it doesn't overflow and bake up in the oven. Then you'll need a rolling pin, some parchment paper, a spatula, a little saucepan, some mixing utensils, a knife, and a ruler, which I need to go get mine, and then a core and an apple peeler. So let's begin. So first we're going to start by getting our apples ready. So you're just going to want to peel them. I'm just going to peel them in here. And then, like, when you're peeling, these don't have to be perfect. You don't have to get all the skin off them. You just want a majority of the skin off of them, because, I mean, it's all going to bake down. Alright, so now that you've peeled all your apples, now you're going to take your core, and you're going to do this maneuver, which I just learned how to use these a little bit ago. And you just kind of want to like twist it and kind of slowly do it so you don't get your hand or anything like that. I'm sure it doesn't feel good. And then we can just set our apples in our baking dish that we plan to use. Damn it. That one I kind of went off to the side and didn't exactly go down the center. That's okay, I can fix that. I'll just go from the other end. Yeah. Ooh, get those seeds out of there. Like I said, this is like my second time using one of these things. And they're not the easiest, so yeah. So there you go. You got your 4 apples peeled and cored. take your larger mixing bowl and you're going to put 3 cups of flour in it. And I'm just doing the scoop and scrape method for this. So you're not pressing the flour down or anything into the cup. Okay. Then you need 1 teaspoon of salt. And then you're gonna need 1 cup of shortening. I'm gonna need a spoon for this. And then you're just going to put this into your flour and salt mixture. Now you're going to take a fork and you're going to cut the shortening into the flour. And so how you do that is you just scoop into the middle and you're going to bring it up the sides. You're just going to kind of press it into the flour. And eventually, because this kind of takes a little bit of time, eventually this is going to become kind of a light yellow or pale yellow type color, and it's going to be really flaky and crumbly looking. But it won't be a dough yet. Okay, and then next you're going to need 1/3 cup of water. You want to make sure it's cold. And you're only going to put about half in to start. Kind of mix it around a little bit. And then you're going to put the other half. And then since I'm using 1/4 cup, I got to get a little bit more water to make my 1/3 cup. And then this should start to come together into a soft, kind of sticky type dough. And you can use your hands once it starts to come together. And then, oh yeah, the reason why you use cold water is because it'll give you more of a flaky type dough for when it bakes up. So this is pretty much good, so I'm just going to start pressing it together. You don't want to over knead it because your dough will become kind of like elastic-like and tough to work with. So you still kind of want it to like crumble a little bit, but you want it to also come together into a ball. Just get the last bits around there. Okay, now I'm going to take this and just kind of like knead it so that it's all mixed in just a little bit. Okay, so now we're gonna clear off the area a little bit so we have a little bit of room. I'm gonna grab a ruler. Wow, near me. to separate it into 4s. Try to make them as even as possible. And then if you may have issues with rolling out the dough, a quick trick is to throw it into the fridge, and that'll kind of make it a little bit easier. It makes it less sticky to roll out, but I'm not going to do that for this. So before we start to roll these out, we are going to take our little small bowl, and we're going to put 2 tablespoons of sugar, and then 4 teaspoons of cinnamon into a bowl. And then we're just going to mix this together. And it's kind of going to make a cinnamon sugar mixture, but it's going to be more cinnamony than sugar, so it's going to kind of look a little dark, but that's what we want. So then I'm just going to set these aside. And then you're going to need 4 tablespoons of butter. And then you're going to save the other half of the stick for the sauce that we make. Now this recipe, unlike the other recipes I've shown you, is a little bit more difficult and calls for a little bit more skill. So hopefully you guys can keep up with me, and this will be a nice, little tester for you. We're just going to pull our apples out. And then here's a fancy little trick for when you're rolling out dough. You're going to take 2 pieces of either parchment paper or wax paper. And then you're going to put, I need a little bit of flour, because it will tend to stick to the paper even though it's not supposed to. Kind of does. So just kind of want to put a little bit of flour right there, and then press that out a little bit. Put a little bit of flour on top. And you're going to stick this on top. And this makes it easier for rolling out so that it doesn't stick and rip. So you're just going to evenly roll this into a 7x7 square. And if it's not a perfect square, we can cut it, but let's just get it rolled out to there to begin with. And this is what you'll need a ruler for. Alright, so it's pretty big enough. I'm just going to take our paper off. And then you just kind of want to go and mark where you're going to cut. And then you want to save these little pieces, because we're going to use them to make little leaves to put on top, kind of like a little fancy decoration. Alright, and then you're going to take one of your apples, and then you're going to take 1 tablespoon of butter and stick it in the center. And then you're going to take 1 teaspoon of your cinnamon sugar mix. You're going to put it over top. And then you're just going to fold these up and pinch them. like so. And then you're just gonna take these edges and you're gonna fold them so that your apple is enclosed inside. So just like that. And then you're just gonna stick it in your little baking dish. All right, so there's one. Now we're gonna do the second one. So in case you missed that, put a little flour down, put one of your doughs down, or balls of dough, put a little bit more flour, take your piece of paper, and roll it out. You want to remember to consistently turn your rolled out dough so that you can get an even, so you can roll it out as evenly as possible. So that's not like oblong or anything like that. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep doing this, and I will see you guys back when all 4 of them are done. Okay, so now that's the 4th and final one. We're just gonna fit it in here, the other ones. And then, oh wait, you wanna make your little decorative pieces. So you're just gonna take this, and you can either roll it out, and if you have little like leaf type cutters, you can just use the cutters and make little leaves. But since I do not have some right now, I'm just gonna make little leaves. So you just kind of like roll it. Well, here, I'll start from the beginning. You're gonna roll a piece of dough into your hand, and then you're just gonna kind of pinch it and just kind of make an oval shape with it, and then start to pinch it at one side. So it begins to kind of look like a leaf. And there's your little leaf. And then, oops, what you're gonna do with this is you're just gonna take it and you're gonna put it on top like that. And there's your little leaf. And I'm probably gonna do about 2 for each one. So once again, I'll show you. You just take it and you kind of press it out into an oval. And then you're just gonna pinch it at the corner. And kind of leave this one a little round. And there's your leaf. And we're just gonna put another one on there. And then what you can do for the center is you take a little piece like this, and you're just gonna kind of roll it. Oops. Alright, rolling it's not working, so we're just gonna roll it this way. And you're gonna make a little stem. You're gonna put that on there. So now that you have all those on there, you have a little bit of dough left. Well, if you have a little bit of dough left, you might not. Pretty much like you can't really use this, or you could make more leaves, I guess, to use it. But pretty much it's just dough because it's been too moved around and like kneaded and everything, so now it's just gonna be tough. But this is what they should look like, and you can add a couple leaves. You don't have to have leaves on them, just a little bit of decoration. So you're gonna take whatever's left of your cinnamon sugar mixture, and you're just going to sprinkle it over the tops. Oh, I lost one of my little things. Come here. Ah! Alright, well he's just dead, so that's fine. Okay, so now this is done. Well, this part. So now we're gonna move on to our sauce. So we're gonna take our saucepan, our other half stick of butter, and our brown sugar, and I will meet you over to the stove. Okay, so now that we're over to the stove, I have turned the heat on to medium heat, and I have put a half a cup of water in here, and then we're gonna go and put our other half of a stick, which is 1/4 of a cup of butter, into our pan, and then we're gonna put 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar into the pan. The pot, I should say. And then we're just gonna mix this around. And it's good to have your butter really soft, not exactly melted though. It just makes the melting part or portion a little bit faster. And we're just gonna melt this down. And then what you're gonna want is you're gonna want to bring this to a boil. So this will probably take about 5 minutes. So I'm just gonna let that sit, and I'm gonna just start cleaning up a little bit. And then you just wanna occasionally mix this so that nothing burns on the bottom. You also wanna make sure that you are using a heat-safe spatula. And see, it's starting to come to a nice boil. So we're just gonna let that boil for a little bit longer. Alright, and I would say that's about done. So now we're going to take our sauce, and we're going to move back over to the apples, and we're going to pour it over our apples. Okay, so now we're just going to take this, and we're going to pour this over our apples. Whoops. Try not to get it on you, because it's extremely hot. Alright. And it should look something like that. And now we're going to place this in the oven we're going to place it in the oven at 350 for 55 minutes. So I'll see you guys back in 55 minutes. While these are baking, you just occasionally want to come in and kind of baste them a little bit with the sauce that is on the sides. Probably every 20 minutes, so maybe like twice you can go ahead and do that. Now we're just gonna set these back in here, bake more. Okay, so now that it's done baking, this is what the final product should look like. So roughly between 50 to 55 minutes you can bake it for. You just want it to kind of get a little goldeny and kind of crispy. And then if you touch it a little bit, without burning yourself, be very careful. If it feels a little soft on the inside, then that's, you know, the apples, you want them to be a little soft. But this is what it should pretty much look like. And you're just gonna let this cool. You don't have to let it cool completely, but, you know, just let it cool enough so you can eat it. Or if you want to serve it the next day, you know, you can let it cool completely, and just store it. And then, I don't know, I would serve this like warm, you know, or hot, and serve it with ice cream, like vanilla ice cream. I think that would be boss. So, you know, just, yeah, that's what the apple dumplings should look like. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I know it was a little bit more challenging than the other episodes that we had, but I kind of want to like eventually challenge you guys, you know, because I am trying to teach you all how to bake, so gotta start somewhere. But yeah, so if you liked my work, please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!